Hi-Fi Rush has taken the gaming world by storm with its unlimited amount of charm, smooth gameplay, and enticing story. But this release means a lot more than you think. Find out why. Up next. What up guys, this is Kalo and I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content, drop a like on the video, and follow me on Twitter. So, Hi-Fi Rush is an absolute hit, and I gotta say, I've been playing it here for a few days now, and I'm absolutely enamored by it. Having released shortly after the Xbox and Bethesda Developer Direct, this game proves a game launch can be done right without any over-the-top marketing or even hype. This game had a lot going for it coming out of the gate, albeit. Having released from Tango Gameworks, Hi-Fi Rush released on Game Pass and on Steam on January 25th for just about $30. So the risk versus reward factor wasn't even a big margin for those of you who were at least interested in the game. Don't believe me? Well, on the week ending on January 29th, Hi-Fi Rush was listed at the number 8 spot for top selling games by revenue on Steam, hanging with titles like Dead Space, Modern Warfare 2, and even Hogwarts Legacy. Again, I want to stress some points around this game. 1, it isn't a sequel, and 2, it had zero hype around it. Now, since all gaming news videos nowadays can't be positive, let's compare it to Forspoken, which released to rather less than stellar reviews. Now, to put things in perspective, according to Benji Sales on Twitter, Hi-Fi Rush at $30 made more revenue on launch week than Forspoken did at $70. Now, what this proves is good games are still being made today, and not all good games need that high-end budget, marketing, or pure hype to stick their landing. As long as the game plays well, has likable characters, and a fun story, people will play it. Normally, I'm not even a fan of rhythm-based games, let alone the art style of this game. But having seen some positive reviews around the game on day one, I figured I'd give it a shot, and I was pleasantly surprised at what this game did right out of the gate. I often found myself getting lost in the rhythm-based combat system, really striving for those S ranks across the board in fights, and laughing at the quirky clue robot that is sprinkled in to give you hints on how to tackle certain obstacles ahead. And I think Hi-Fi Rush has a real chance to go on to be in consideration and potentially win Game of the Year. Moving on to a game that is far from being an original idea, but in the vein of keeping things positive and uplifting for this episode, let's talk about the Dead Space remake. Coming out of EA Motive Studios, this game entered the number 1 spot for physical sales in the UK. So why am I bringing up a remake when I was just talking about an original game? Well, this game is drumming up a similar talking point when comparing it to the Callisto Protocol, which at one point was being touted as the Dead Space successor. Numbers-wise, Dead Space is dog-walking the Callisto Protocol. Dead Space has an all-time player base peak of 28,842 players, versus that of a little over 15,000 for the Callisto Protocol. The PS5 edition of the Dead Space remake has a Metacritic score of 89 versus a much lower 70 for the Callisto Protocol. Now, this is where things kind of get weird and murky, but according to GameIndustries.biz, Dead Space sold less than half of what the Callisto Protocol did during its launch week last month, which is by physical retail. But some factors to note here: the Callisto Protocol was available on multiple platforms like the PS4 and Xbox One, which the Dead Space remake wasn't. And the Callisto Protocol was released during the holiday window, which helps any and all games. Following the success of this remake, EA Motive senior producer Phil Deschamps and creative director Roman Campos Oriola stated in an interview with GQ, "There's more interest on my side, and I think Roman's side. You can see his smile in exploring Dead Space more. There are ideas there for sure." So more things based around Dead Space are potentially on the way, which is great news. So despite all the negative headlines in the gaming space, there are stories like this that make it through the cracks and really drum up excitement for fans of any and all games. So in closing, I'm going to pass this question off to you guys. If you got your hands on Hi-Fi Rush, what are your thoughts on it, and do you potentially see more devs doing these shadow drops by just announcing a game and releasing it on the same day? It worked for Apex and now Hi-Fi Rush, so why not? But that about does it here. I've been Kalo. I gave you the lowdown on all things gaming, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content. Drop a like on the video, and I'll see you guys next time.